For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has announced she's giving up the leadership position she held for 15 years. She made the announcement on the House floor Thursday, a day after Republicans clinched a majority in the lower chamber. Christopher Martinez reports.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi made her big announcement Thursday.
And with great confidence in our caucus, I will not seek re-election to Democratic leadership in the next Congress. For me, the hours come for a new generation to lead the Democratic caucus that I so deeply respect.
Pelosi's decision on whether to remain the House Democratic leader had been in question, in part because Republicans flipped the House majority in the midterm elections, and even more so after the apparently politically motivated attack on her husband. Although she's stepping down from her leadership position, Pelosi is remaining in office as the representative from solidly Democratic San Francisco. She's held that office for 35 years, during which she has seen some changes.
When I came to the Congress in 1987, there were 12 Democratic women. Now there are over 90, and we want more.
Pelosi notes that 75% of the new members of the Democratic caucus will be women, people of color, and LGBTQ. As for the speakership, that role will presumably now go to a Republican. Kevin McCarthy of California, reporting for Pacifica Radio News KPFA, I'm Christopher Martinez.
Catherine Carley reports on who may be vying to lead the House Democrats next.
Representative Hakeem Jeffries of New York is reportedly next in line for House Minority Leader. He's the current chair of the House Democratic Caucus and would be the first black person to lead a party in Congress. Catherine Clark of Massachusetts and Pete Aguilar of California were also expected to vie for top positions in the party. I'm Catherine Carley for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
With Republicans in control of the House, they're turning their attention to President Joe Biden with investigations into his family businesses and associates, specifically targeting Biden's son, Hunter. James Comer of Kentucky will be chair of the House Oversight Committee.
The investigation reveals a family that engaged with some of America's most powerful adversaries, planning to sell one of the largest sources of cobalt for electric vehicles in the world to the Chinese, for example. The Bidens flourished and became millionaires by simply offering access to the family. Among the dozens of shell companies the Bidens set up, there were millions of dollars of wire transfers. Many transactions related to these businesses have raised red flags at U.S. banks. One SAR generated by an American bank to the Treasury Department connects Hunter Biden and his business associates to international human trafficking, among other illegal activities.
Republicans gained control, cinching the 218th seat this week. It's a narrow lead. Democrats have claimed 211 seats. Votes are still being counted in other races. A dangerous snowstorm paralyzed parts of western and northeastern New York with more than a foot of snow. And a driving ban is in place to keep people off the roads in the Buffalo area, where the National Weather Service says up to 4 feet might fall in some areas through Sunday. New York Governor Kathy Hochul declared a state of emergency for 11 communities Thursday. Climate talks appeared stalled on major issues going into the final hours of the COP27 summit, but possibilities for a deal were lifted by an unexpected proposal by the European Union that involves a fund to compensate for climate disasters. The nations of the global south say the world's richest countries should pay for the damage since they have historically been the biggest emitters of greenhouse gases. Eileen Alfandary reports.
Pakistan's United Nations Ambassador Nabil Munir told a panel on the sidelines of the official summit that Pakistan is not asking for a bailout when it demands establishment of a compensation fund for loss and damage caused by climate-related disaster.
Loss and damage is not charity. Loss and damage is climate justice.
Pakistan suffered epic flooding in August and September. More than 1,500 people died and millions were left homeless.
A third of our population, our country was underwater. 33 million people were impacted. Countries like Pakistan, less than 0.1% of the GHG emissions. If they are impacted, they have to be compensated in some way. And what we are talking about is burden sharing, nothing more than that.
The issue of loss and damage is one of 3 financial aid pots being discussed. Rich nations agreed in past conferences to spend $100 billion a year to help poorer countries develop cleaner energy systems and adapt to prevent future disasters. Those countries have fallen short in keeping that financial commitment. I'm Eileen Alfandary for Pacifica Radio.
In the U.S., the Biden administration says Saudi Arabia's crown prince should be shielded from lawsuits over his role in the killing of a U.S. journalist, Jamal Khashoggi. It's a stunning turnaround for President Joe Biden, who as a candidate denounced Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman over the killing. It comes in a motion filed by the U.S. in a federal court brought by the late journalist's fiancé and the rights group he founded. I'm Christina Onestad reporting for Pacifica Radio.